Now, those debt talks fell apart this week when two key Republicans in the mix walked out, saying Democrats refused to take tax increases off the table. Here now to discuss the impasse, two members of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee, Republican Congressman Kevin Brady from Texas, and also Democratic Congressman Levin from Michigan. Yeah. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
All right, Congressman Levin, I'll start with you. This week, these talks moved to the White House. The president will be at the table. Do you think he should have gotten there sooner?
No, I don't think so. I think he made clear his plan some months ago, and now it's up to everybody to step up to the plate. I think playing with the debt ceiling is playing with fire. It would turn this country into a near catastrophe economically, and I think the Republicans should get off of their insistence, no revenues, because that's a ticket to economic disaster. We need to cut spending. We also have to look at revenues. That's really the equation that needs to be looked at.
All right, Congressman Brady, I'll ask you about that because Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, obviously the top Republican in the Senate, has said, you can have a tax hike or you can have bipartisan support, and you can't have both. Is that the case? It doesn't sound very much like compromise.
Well, actually, I think it is. We've seen for 2 years the president raised taxes by over $600 billion. Not a dime of it went to reduce the deficit. It all went to bigger government. That's what we fear will happen again. We think the way to get serious, get the country back on the right track, is to make sure that America isn't spending, or at least its government, isn't spending more than it takes in. The focus needs to be on this big, bloated government, reducing it as families have reduced their budgets, and getting it back on track. So I think Senator Kyle and Leader Kander did exactly the right thing, and I think it may accelerate a final solution on this issue.
Look, walking out doesn't accelerate anything, and I think Representative Brady has to look at the facts. You talk about cuts, and I'm in favor of savings, but not like, for example, you suggested cutting out all money for nutrition programs for women. That is the way to do it, and you also have to agree to get off dead center and say, we'll look at savings and we'll look at revenues. We need to do both. Otherwise, how are you going to vote on the debt ceiling? How are you going to vote?
Here's the balance that we see. Well, I'm going to insist that America get its financial house in order, the government get its financial house in order with serious spending cuts. And our balance, looking at it as a small business person would, looking at immediate cuts to make sure we restore confidence to job creators, looking at long-term discipline, budget reforms that keep the government and the White House from getting outside the track on spending, and then finally having some adult conversation on how we preserve important programs like Medicare and Social Security, preserve them from every generation once and for all. That really has to be the balance we're looking at.
Look, you voted for a bill that would end Medicare, but let's talk about where we are.
That is not,
yes, you did. That's exactly what it did.
I think this may be
now, let me just ask you.
With these talks.
Let me just ask you.
We have too much demagoguery going on,
gentlemen,
and not enough honest truth-telling.
Okay, Kevin, let me just ask you. Let me just ask you. Are you willing, in these discussions, to have revenues talked about as well as savings? Yes or no?
Am I willing to raise taxes at a time of a weak economy to fund more spending that we can't afford? The answer is absolutely not. We need to get back.
Let me interrupt here. I want to ask you both the same question. Now, the Treasury Department has warned that come August 2nd, all of the stopgap measures and things that they can do regarding the debt ceiling will be expended at that point. We know that's just weeks away. The Senate is due to go on recess for 4th of July. The House, you've still got time here in Washington. Would either of you go on recess while this remains unresolved?
No. I'm here in Washington now.
No, I think we need to resolve this.
We need to get busy and put revenues as well as savings on the table and stop just essentially saying something can't even be discussed. That isn't an adult discussion, Kevin.
All right, gentlemen, we've got to We're both hard at work on this issue. It is not something that will ever be easily solved. So we thank you for your pledge to stay here and keep working in Washington. It's going to be a long, hot summer.
Thank you.
Thank you to you both.
Thanks.
Right. If you've been putting up